Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cinema Scoop podcast with Sam and Jordan. And today we will have our first episode of, what are we calling this? Rotten
Ratings.
Rotten ratings. So 2024, it's early, and most times January, February, not a lot of great selections for the new year. And so there's two films we want to talk about for maybe 10 minutes each that we both have seen, and they both are terrible, and they are Madam Web, and This Is Me, Now, the Jennifer Lopez acid trip that is now on Amazon Prime for free. First, we'll talk about Madam Web. So
just another, premise, just to talk about, I think what we're going to talk about in these types of Rotten Ratings episodes, these aren't movies that are just bad subjectively for us. We're talking about movies that are downright dastardly bad.
These are the bottom of the barrel bad.
Bottom of the barrel bad. I have to be honest and talk about this is committing a crime in the movie industry. And I'm a lot of things, but I am a hater. And these are just movies I hate.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Madam Web first. I went by myself to see this like a loser. I knew it was going to be bad. I was hoping it would be funny bad, and I would just have a good 2 hours laughing at it. And there were moments where it was really bad, obviously. But if you've seen the trailer, the dialogue is terrible. And Dakota Johnson as the lead, I don't know what they were thinking. We won't get too much into the plots of these movies just because they're so convoluted, especially with Madam Web. One of the biggest issues with Madam Web was it's not even really a superhero movie.
It's not a superhero movie.
It's like a spin-off of Spider-Man, and apparently the first version of the comic of Madam Web, she's an old lady in a wheelchair and is blind, but Dakota Johnson's just a normal woman as a paramedic, and she suddenly gets these small futuristic telepathic premonitions, but
they're microseconds into the future. It's not even that far.
Yeah, and for most of the movie she can't control it and she doesn't understand it. Meanwhile, this random guy and all of his lines are ADR'd after the fact. I don't know what they did with this guy's mouth and how he talks, but it's so AI generated almost. And he just has nightmares that Sydney Sweeney and these other two girls are going to kill him in spider suits. And it's just ambiguous as to when this will happen, where this will happen. And he's just I gotta kill these women as soon as possible. And basically Dakota Johnson catches wind of this and she tries to protect them, and then there's this hilarious part where she just basically says, I gotta go to Peru and figure things out. I'll be back in a week. And she just leaves these girls at Adam Scott and Emma Roberts' house for a week. And yeah, I could go into further details, but a lot of times with bad superhero type movies, it's more of there's too much CGI, or the story makes no sense, or I don't know why they even made this, and this kind of hits all of those. It's pretty sad, because towards the end, Sydney Sweeney and the other two girls, I forgot their names, but they never get bit by spiders, they never have spider powers, they're only in their suits for a few seconds as future flash forward moments that never actually happen. And then by the end of the film, they're all just kind of living under Dakota Johnson's house. And it's are they all a 4-team spider team now? But at the end of the movie, they're still not Spider Women yet. They're just 20-something-year-old girls just talking about takeout and Dakota Johnson's funny sunglasses.
That's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, and then you saw this specific way that I will not go into detail.
We won't incriminate ourselves, but I was not going to pay money to see this.
Yeah, Jordan kind of just wanted to skim through some of it.
No, I watched the whole thing.
I thought you were doing
I was doing the 10
10
second fast forward anytime that bitch was in a car, which was like 45% of the movie.
Yeah, if you like watching Dakota Johnson drive a car, this is definitely the movie for you, because she's a paramedic who drives an ambulance, but then she steals a taxi that she somehow drives to the New York airport without being caught by security, just to fly to Peru, just to fly back to New York, just to use the same exact stolen cab a week later, which makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I truly did not like this movie, but if we're going to use my rating scale where it's offensively bad, I feel nothing bad, and so bad it's good, this is just in that middle area of this is so bad that it's not offensively bad, it's just like I feel nothing for this. And it's like it could have been worse and have been funnier. And like I'm sad that it wasn't at least a little bit worse for it to have been like slightly funny. There is a line where Adam Scott, he says, "I'm not going to pretend to understand what's going on right now." Yeah. And literally it's like, me too, because I don't know what's going on. I cannot stress enough how much I dislike Dakota Johnson. And I say that about a lot of random actors or actresses just because I don't like the look of their face or whatever. I don't like her attitude. I don't like how she conducts herself. I don't like how she treats other people. I don't like how she talks in interviews. And it's not because I don't like the sound of her voice. It's because she acts like she's better than everyone else, including inside of this movie.
Well, she also acts like oblivious to what other people think or say, regardless of what that is. And like, there were some press junket interviews with the 3 girls, and they were like, "Yeah, we texted Dakota Johnson like about she's
left
like
us on red for 2 years."
Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, we texted her when we were making the movie, and she never texted back, and then she just never would reach out to like hang out with us in any concept." And yeah, she just seems like she's like, I mean, you've watched all the 50 Shades of Grey movies, but I feel like she's like almost AI generated, or like aliens created her. I know she's a Nepo baby, but it's just really bizarre that she was they decided to make her the lead in this movie. They also, no one ever calls her Madam, and her last name is Webb, but it's with 2 B's, but the title of this movie is Madam Webb with 1 B, so that really pissed me off. And was like, okay, and then, like, Emma Roberts is in this for some reason, just to be like, "Oh, I'm pregnant with Peter Parker, but I'm never going to say his name." And, like, I actually watched the whole movie not knowing that was the case, and then I read some reviews, and I was like, "Oh, wait, that was Peter Parker?"
That she was pregnant with? Like, it's just so wild.
Because Adam Scott is technically Uncle Ben. The other 2 girls, aside Sydney Sweeney, is Isabel Merced, and who was also in Migration, the Duck movie, and Celeste O'Connor, who's in the Ghostbusters movie. But yeah, it's directed by S.J. Clarkson, and this is like her first feature-length movie, so like I'm not really sure who greenlit any of this.
Yeah, it's a very odd movie, because it's just like, how did this get made? How is this possible? I honestly have a theory, and I don't know the validity of this, but I just think that Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson, I think they all thought they were in an MCU movie. I think they all thought they were in like a very big deal type of movie. And then I think the script constantly got changed on them, and then there's a point at which they're stuck in this movie that they can't get out of, and it shows in like every performance that they don't want to be there. Like, it sounds to me, just from like what I understand, that the movie changed so much over the course of filming that like they're contractually not allowed to talk about how it, like, what it could have been versus what it ended up being. But either way, it's like just incredibly bad.
It makes me sad, because they could have had, Sydney Sweeney as an awesome Spider-Woman doing anything.
Yeah.
And they don't even, like, give her powers. Like, there's, like, a few shots of her with some sort of, like, electric web, which looked interesting. And then one of the other girls had, like, actual mechanical spider legs or something, and I was like, that could be
It's like, when are you going to do that?
but they don't do any of that, and so they just have Dakota Johnson be like, oh, this thing's gonna happen in 5 seconds, and that's the movie, and I gotta drive my car.
It's honestly fucking ridiculous. It's insane that it got made.
Somehow, someway, Jennifer Lopez made a worse movie.
Jennifer Lopez made a worse movie than Madam Web. And when we talk about the scale of...
We use the word movie really lax here.
Yeah, when we're talking about the scale of offensively bad, I feel nothing bad, or so bad it's good, this is offensively bad. Like...
I was offended.
I was offended.
My eyeballs were offended.
First of all, the first, 5 minutes of the movie are an acid trip. Like, a visual acid trip, and I don't mean that in a good way. Like, it makes you nauseous.
I have to talk about literally the first 30 seconds, which is... So Jennifer Lopez plays this character called The Artist, and they never actually call her Jennifer Lopez in the film, but it's kind of like a...
It's trying to be Lemonade.
It's trying to be Lemonade. It's trying to be like a visual album, film type thing where it's kind of like 5 or 6 music videos. And it'd be fine if that was it, but the way it's all connected, we'll talk more about. But the opening part of the movie, she's like narrating the story of a hummingbird and a red flower and these 2 lovers. And it just is like constantly going back. The camera is going backwards. And it's like a zoom out. And I'm not talking 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 10, 12 zoom outs
like
of different like drawn artwork of this story, but it's just like it goes so fast, and you're also trying to listen to what Jennifer Lopez is trying to tell you, and it's like very like hit you in the face, like
nausea.
Oh, this is hurting me, and I just started, and we haven't gotten to the bad songs yet, and the CGI is terrible,
so bad.
I couldn't comprehend the people that she hired to play her friends, where every single one of them seemed...
You mean the Zodiac?
We'll get to that.
Oh, God.
I'm talking about her, like, actual, these are my friends.
Oh, yeah,
who are with her through all these 3 different weddings. So she basically has, like, a montage of 3 separate groom husbands that she's marrying, 3 different weddings, and she has all these... like, the same 6 or 7 friends at all these weddings, like...
And the weddings are all identical.
They're all, like...
They're identical
to
weddings.
save money. She just has a different dress at some...
No, barely.
There was one part where she had 2 dresses, but it was very confusing.
It's like they just constantly are mashing up, like, she's getting married, but then they just keep switching out the husband, the actor, so that you're like, oh, she's getting married multiple times, when, like, really...
But it was all one song.
But it was all one song. Like, it made no sense. And she's in the same dress... through the whole song. Like, it makes no sense.
But all her friends were, like, super rude and mean, and, like, I don't know why anyone would be friends with all these people, because they just were nice to her, and they're all way younger than her, so it was also really weird from that aspect.
Oh, yeah.
But that was, like, that wasn't even a top 2 weird thing. Like, so...
No, the weirdest thing to me about this movie is the fact that it's basically J-Lo's version of saying... Sorry, I've had 4 marriages. I'm just addicted to love. And doesn't that make me a good person? And it's just her, like, literally trying to express that through, like, visual art. When, like, all of the line delivery, all of the script, every single line of dialogue is as if it's like the I'm 14 and this is so deep type of thing. This is like a 14-year-old having gone through 3 divorces. Yeah. And she's just like... all of you made me feel like I was at home, but I left home for a reason. Like, I started cackling at that line.
Yeah, it's like she has, like, this wedding montage, and then she has a therapy montage where half of the movie, like, if she's not singing, she's basically in therapy with Fat Joe, who's,
as
like,
therapist.
A hardcore rapper dude who's never really been in a movie, and he's just, like, this soft-spoken therapist, and she's just, like... word vomiting all of her heartache, and then
it's like she's not even being specific.
No, and then she has then there's like another montage of her and all 3 of these husbands at therapy, and she's basically saying the same thing to all 3 of them.
And she's in the same outfit.
Yeah, and she has all these different coats that probably cost more than whatever she paid her fake friends.
Oh my god, the coats. I mean, honestly, the coat game was slay. That was the nicest thing about the movie, was seeing how incredibly large these coats she would wear. Every single scene she's wearing like a fuzzy coat or a puffy coat or a neon coat or like a fur coat. And it was like, girl, we get it. That's your big dumb hat. It's like literally that's her like staple thing. It's just to have a big dumb coat.
So we'll talk about the Zodiac part in a second. We'll end on that because that needs a few minutes. But I want to talk about Ben Affleck.
Oh my god.
And just the overall structure of the film. So Ben Affleck's in this movie as a heavily make-upped, fake news anchor who's just like on her TV in her house, just in the background, just talking nonsense. And then at the very, very end of the credits, he makes another appearance about him saying how you basically just need to keep loving even if no one loves you, kind of thing. And one of the reasons we put this on was because it's 66 minutes, so it's short. But there's a moment at like the 54-minute mark where she has... Basically, if I could summarize this entire movie, it's with one word, it's cringe. But the part where she's basically doing a Singing in the Rain Gene Kelly ripoff, only
with
it's way, way worse, with a CGI hummingbird. And then Fat Joe comes out of nowhere with his umbrella, is like, hey, what are you doing? Sort of thing. And then it hard cuts. Remember, this is 54 minutes, and it says it's an hour, 6 minutes. She does the Singing in the Rain part, then she hard cuts to the credits, and it's over. And there's like another song and some like ancillary credit sequences, but ultimately the movie's over. And it's like 12 minutes of the credits. Literally. And it was just like, what? Like, it was so abrasive in how it ended and how it started. It was almost like unfathomable how to like mentally compartmentalize what you just watched.
The two things I want to bring up, and then I'm done screaming about this movie, because I'm gonna say this. I highly recommend that everyone sees this if you're thinking about making a movie. Because if it's anything like this, you should reconsider. If you think that you can do something like this, just reconsider. Like,
especially if you're famous and have lots of money and you're listening to this, which is no one. But if
she
you're...
blew millions of dollars on this. Millions of dollars. You could have, like, changed people's lives with that money. But instead, you've made a narcissistic, like, masturbatory film about, like, how you just can't help yourself, and that's why you keep getting divorced from people. Like, it is the strangest concept. So the two things I want to talk about, number one, you talked about the Ben Affleck line delivery at the end of the movie with his, like, crazy makeup as the news anchor, where he's like, you just gotta keep loving. I swear to God, the way he delivered that line was as if Jennifer Lopez had a gun to his head. Like, he looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Ben Affleck's brain, just in general, but I don't know if it's healthy, whatever's going on in there.
Like,
he just did that Dunkin' Donuts Super Bowl commercial, which was kind of funny, but it was also, like, self-egregious, like, you're just a Boston guy, and Dunkin' Donuts is just a Boston brand, blah, blah, blah. But, like, this movie, he obviously did it as a favor, or just because, like, he didn't do it for the money. He didn't do this for his acting career. He just did it because he likes Jennifer Lopez, and he's like, okay, I'll do that.
Like, Jennifer Garner is probably so content right now. Like, she's having a great life.
Yeah, I would love to watch this with Jennifer Gardner and Ayo Edebiri.
Yep.
And just not say anything and see what they say.
I would love... That would be amazing. The second thing I want to bring up in this movie that we both surprisingly haven't talked about is the steampunk element to, like, basically the...
Yeah, the whole first music video sequence, she's, like, in this steampunk factory with this giant mechanical heart that has broken, which
she's
is
like,
her
it's about
heart.
to break! Like...
And the only way they can fix it is by putting red flowers in it, and then all the red flowers disappear.
But it's like
and
her...
it's a dream.
It's like her and a bunch of women just, like, gyrating.
Head bobbing.
In this, like, factory line that's feeding this, like, steampunk mechanical heart. And they're, like, singing, and it's raining, and it's very, very weird. And I don't say, like... I just don't know what to think.
It's like the part in the football movie Rudy where they're in that, like, weird factory and the fire explodes and kills his friend. It's like a hard reach, but it's kind of that similar vibe. But yeah, it does all that, and it's basically a music video, and then when it's over, it hard cuts to her first therapy session with Fat Joe, and you're first introduced to Fat Joe as a therapist, and you're like, wait, what's happening?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we have to talk about the Zodiac.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
Yeah. So a huge part of this is her just constantly talking about zodiac signs and what they mean and what she's feeling.
You're such a Taurus. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
And they just like
you're giving zodiac
zoom
girlies
out
a bad
to
name.
they like zoom out to outer space, and there's like this void circle where it's like a round table of the zodiac signs. And before we list off who's who, I have to mention there's only 10 of the 12 zodiac signs, and the two they don't have are Capricorn and Aquarius, which are technically the two half ones that I am, because I'm born on January 20th, and as I grew up, I was always Aquarius, because that was the cutoff, and then they like changed it, or there's like a second calendar that says I'm a Capricorn. So that's why
you're a cusper, essentially.
Which makes zero sense that that's even a thing, so ultimately I don't give zodiac like even 1% credit on anything. So it's funny that Jennifer Lopez is like, no, this is like a foundational piece in my movie. Is just Zodiac.
10 of the 12.
Okay, so we have Jane Fonda. Mind you, all these people are never in the same room. They're all soloed shot, talking in a void, and then it's edited together as if they're all around this big table in space. They all have insane
Gold
costumes and weird prosthetic like shoulder pads and headdresses. And they're all like mostly known people. So yeah, Jane Fonda, who was a huge actress in the 60s and 70s. Trevor Noah, who has fallen off since leaving The Daily Show and losing his relationship with Dua Lipa. Kim Petras, who I don't really even know.
She's a
singer. Post Malone, Keke Palmer, Sofia Vergara, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson. I feel bad for, but like he should know better. And then this dude Sadhguru, who's like a super old Indian yoga dude who's never been in a movie, but somehow, some way, Jennifer Lopez convinced him to be Pisces, which is what you are, right?
It's a shame. It's a shame because, like you said, like, I like how you're like, I give the Zodiac like 1% credibility. I'm like, I give it about like 33% credibility because like some of it's pretty accurate. But even that, it's like, I'm sorry, but J-Lo, if you're that into the Zodiac, why do you not have every single one? Or do you just not know a single fucking Capricorn? Do you not know a single fucking Aquarius that you're like, I just don't care about those two? Like, I don't understand. And like, if that's like a huge piece of your movie, why do you only have 10 of them? And literally this Jennifer Lewis lady is just body doubled because she's Gemini. So there's just two of her in the same shot.
I wasn't sure if that was if they were twins or what they were.
They could have gotten twins.
So it's like Gemini supposed to be like two?
Yeah, Gemini is like the symbolism of like twins.
Oh, okay.
But they just doubled her. Like, why?
Yeah, and so, yeah, Sofia Vergara, who hasn't really done a lot since her big, TV show, Modern Family, she plays Cancer. And there's literally a part at the end credits where it's like a blooper and she's like laughing and says something along the lines of like, I can't believe this is like the most bizarre thing I've ever done. And I was like, yeah, you think? And Post Malone is actually trying, I guess, but I'm pretty sure he was drunk the whole time or high, because like the way he talks and acts is really like abrasive, and he like kind of antagonizes Neil deGrasse Tyson for a second.
The other thing that's dumb is that I'm looking at all these people's birthdays, and I'm almost certain that all of them line up with their sign, except Jennifer Lewis. Like, she's a Capricorn.
Yeah.
She plays Gemini. Like, I don't understand.
I was wondering about that because I heard Jennifer Lopez is a Leo, so I was wondering why Post Malone would be the Leo. He was born July 4th.
I think he's technically Cancer.
Yeah,
I don't know
I don't know.
He might actually be a Leo.
I don't know.
No, he's Cancer. Because that's he's Cancer, I think. But, like, I don't understand.
But it was almost like Jennifer Lopez just called up these famous people and was like, hey, I'll give you, like, this amount of money to, like, talk for literally an hour, dress up, and then that's all you have to do, and we'll put you in the movie, CGI you with all these other people around the space table. It was, like, incomprehensible, the whole thing, and...
Like, just watch it to belly laugh, because it is that
And it's supposed to be, like, part one of a bigger project for this whole album, so it's like we might have to revisit and do a second episode on the second part.
I will do that with you. It honestly was like so bad. I'm not gonna say it was so bad that it was good. It was so bad that you just can't help but be like hilariously laughing through the whole thing. Like throughout the entire movie we were just like laughing.
Every few seconds we were either laughing or saying, what the heck is happening?
We were literally like screaming or laughing. It was like...
Yeah, so if you have 54 minutes in Amazon Prime, it's free to watch on Prime. Have a funny hour to yourself and watch this thing. This is me, ... now. And this is me now ending the episode. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
We'll be back next time. We have some really rotten ratings to go over. Hopefully, it'll be a while. But yeah, thanks for listening.